Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the next Pan Those Eyeshadows update. I love filming these videos and updating you on my project, and I have a pretty good update today. This project was created by Alexy. She doesn't post here anymore, but I think she still has her videos up, so make sure to check her out. And so many people are doing this. I'm sure that if you are familiar with the panning community, you know what this project is, but I'm doing mine following Laney's prompts, so I will have her link down below as well. So before I keep rambling on for too long, I'm going to jump into the video. But before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So as always, we're going to start with eyeshadow that's been in the longest, and currently that is an eyeshadow from Cleona. I rolled this one in for an eyeshadow starting with You, and the shadow that I rolled in is the shade UV, which looks like this. I'm not sure how much you can pick up in the picture because it's a white, like iridescent shadow, but that is what it looked like. I had used it 11 times over 2 months at that point, and since then I have used this one 9 additional times, and this is where it is today. So hopefully you can see that there is a little bit of a dip in this shadow. I don't think I'm close to pan yet, but I'm definitely happy to see a dip in it. If you don't know, I do have a 20 use goal limit, so if I reach 20 uses, I can choose to roll something else, and that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm not going to keep working on it because I'm happy with the progress that I've gotten on it, and I think it will take quite a while to actually hit pan. But this is a swatch of it right there. It's like a UV kind of shadow, hence the name. It's a beautiful eyeshadow, and I'm actually wearing this one on my lids today, as well as a highlighter. I don't know how well you can pick it up on camera, but I had 2 uses left to go today, so I decided to wear it both these ways. I have worn it as a highlighter maybe 3 times in the past month, but mainly as an eyeshadow. So yeah, this is the first one, and they will be rolling out. The second eyeshadow that we have is one that has been in for 2 months now, so not quite as long as UV. And this one I rolled in for a black shadow. And the black shadow that I decided to go with in my collection is one from my Soft Glam palette. I decided to work on the shade Noir, obviously, because that is the black shadow in this palette. This is what it looked like last month. I had used it 5 times at that point, and this is where this eyeshadow is today. So I think you can see there's a little bit of usage, but it's not very obvious. I have reached for this one 5 additional times for a total of 10, so I'm halfway to my usage goal. And honestly, this is quite a hardly pressed shadow, especially for being Anastasia. So I'm for sure going to hit my 20 usage goal on this before I hit pan. So we have 10 more uses to go, and I'm not sure I can do it the next month. I'm going to try. The reason why I don't have too high usage on, especially my 2 palettes in this project, is because I've been traveling a lot in the past month. I was traveling for like about 2 weeks altogether, and I didn't bring my palettes. I brought the singles, some of them, so I got some better use on those, but the palettes was a bit too clunky to travel with. So I only had this one for about just over half the month, and that's probably why the usage is lower. So fingers crossed I can get better use on it next month, because I would really love to have this rolled out next month. And there you have Noir. It's just a black shadow, as you can see. And if I didn't say already, I'm actually wearing this one today as well, as like an all-over shade. It's giving quite a lot of depth, but it's also bringing out the blue shade, or like the blue-purple shift in the UV eyeshadow. So the next eyeshadow that I rolled in is one that I rolled in for Indie eyeshadow. And I rolled in one of my Glam Shop shadows, and I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm just going to hold up the pan so you can see what the name is right there. So that is the eyeshadow. And again, I rolled this one in for Indie eyeshadow. This is what it looked like last month, and that is when I rolled it in. Since then, I have used this one 7 times, and this is where I am with it today. So hopefully you can see there in the middle, there is a tiny pan showing. I was able to pan on this one in 7 uses. I use this one mainly as an inner corner highlight, which is why it was quite easy to pan, and also why the pan is so small. I really do like this shadow. It's like a blue to purpley pink shift. You can probably see the blue mainly there, but it's a really, really pretty one. It's another iridescent shadow actually, and it was really easy to reach for. It's, even though it is like a blue to purple shift, it's quite a wearable shade because the blue isn't too vibrant. So yeah, it was really fun to wear, and it was also quite an easy shadow, which is always good. And this one will be rolling out as well. Next up, I rolled in something for a collab eyeshadow, I believe, a collab palette. I think that was what it was at least. And I decided to go with my Red Dragon palette from Hollowness Yellow and Judy. This one is the shade Gin, would look like this at the last update. I roll it in then as well. It's this kind of reddy brown shadow. You can see the swatch there, and this is the picture of what it looked like when I first rolled it in. So since the last update, I only used this one 4 times. Again, this is in a palette which I didn't bring when I was traveling. So this right here is what this eyeshadow is today. So only 4 uses, and I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but there is a little bit of a dip forming, like not very significant at all, but there is a little bit of usage in there. I can see that it's been used a bit more than the rest of the shadows in here. So yeah, I have 16 more uses of pan on this one before I can roll it out, which is going to probably take quite a while. I don't expect to roll this one out next month, but I'm happy with the 4 uses that I got. It's actually quite a nice shadow. I was worried about this formula because I've tried to previously pan on the Elva palette from Hollowness Yellow, and that one was really hard because the pans were very deep and the shadow was quite firmly pressed. But with this one, I feel like the shadow isn't as firmly pressed, and I have no idea how deep these pans are, so I don't know if I'm going to hit pan or hit my usage goal first, but I'm going to keep working on this one and it's going to stay in the project. The last shadow that I have to talk about is one that I rolled in last month as well, and this one I rolled in for an eyeshadow starting with H, and I decided to go with another one on my Glam Shop shadows. This is the shade Hollowness Yellow, I think this one I'm confident enough to pronounce, but this is what how it's spelled. So this is one of their hollow shadows, and this right here is where this one was when I first rolled it in. This one is a really pretty holographic shadow, as you can see right there. I don't know how well you can pick up the holographic shift, but it's a really stunning one, and it does show up pretty significantly on the eyes. It's actually funny as well because this one has the same base as the last one I talked about. They're quite similar in the base, but this one obviously has that holographic shift. So again, I rolled this one in last month, and since then I have used this one 5 times, and this is where it is today. So as you can see, I was able to pan on this one as well. It didn't take very long at all, honestly, and I think that is because the holographic shadows are always quite, like the particle size is quite large, so it picks up quite a lot every time you use it, and it goes quicker that way as well. It's similar to like a pressed glitter, like not obviously the form, like not how it feels, but I think how it picks up. It's similar to pressed glitter, and that's why it goes quite quickly. And yeah, I wasn't expecting this one to take too long, but I'm happy to have this one roll out as well this month. So yeah, those are the shadows that I had last month, and 3 will be rolling out, the 3 shimmers actually, and the 2 mattes will be staying in. So let me go ahead and switch out the remaining shadows here, and we're going to go ahead and randomize some new prompts. So there we have the 2 remaining shadows, and we can roll in 3 new ones. So let me pull up my Tiny Decisions app, and we can go ahead and roll some new shadows. So let me go and pick the first prompt, which is going to be a shadow you want to pan. Okay, that's going to be good. That's the first one. Let's pick the second one. Shadow from your favorite palette. Okay, I'm on a good roll today, so that is the next one. And then lastly, let's go ahead and pick one more. Blue Shadow Matte. Oh, okay. That's going to be harder. And that also means we're going to have 3 mattes this round. But yeah, let me go ahead and figure out what I want to work on. We have these 2, like I said, to keep in, and I will be right back. So I'm back, and I have my color story right here. This is what I'm going to work on moving forward. So my old color story and my new one. So let's go through the shades that I'm rolling in. So I wanted to roll in and focus on the palettes that I haven't really reached for that much this year. So the first one I'm rolling in is actually my Jackie Aina palette from Anastasia. I decided to roll this one in for something that you want to pan, and the shadow that I decided to go with is the shade Sand right here. So that is the shadow there. It's a beautiful, sparkly, kind of bronzy shadow. I feel like this is going to work really nicely for an everyday look. So I decided to roll this one in. So that is the first shadow, and this is the swatch right there. For the shadow coming from my favorite palette, I decided to roll in the Natasha Denona Gold palette because I do think this is my favorite palette. I think I might have had this prompt in before, and I rolled this one in then as well. The shadow that I decided to work on is the shade Carver, which is the one right here. Again, it's a beautiful neutral kind of tone. I love these kind of greeny tones too, but I have some of them in my Pan palette this year, and I feel like I want to work with something easier. And I do want to go with a shimmer as well, so I decided to go with one that I love using, and I think it's quite versatile as well. I can use it as a topper on any corner or use all over the lid. And that is a beautiful, again, kind of like goldeny shimmer, but it's definitely lighter than the last one, and it's a bit more sheer as well. But that is Carver right there, and I think again it's going to work really nicely for an everyday look. Then the last shadow that I'm rolling in is a blue matte, as you can see right there. I wish I would have had another shimmer because I like having 3 shimmers and 2 mattes in this project, but it's fine. It's no rules that I can only have 2 mattes, so this is just the way it turns out sometimes. But what I decided to roll in is something from my Wilderness palette, which is something that I haven't reached for yet this year. And the shadow that I decided to go with is the shadow Twilight, which is this one here. I was choosing between these two here, but I feel like this is going to be more versatile. I can use this as a liner or as an out the corner shade. I think this one would have been a bit harder to reach for, so that's why I decided to go with this deeper one right there. So that is the shadow right there. And yeah, again, with all of these, it is 20 uses or pan, that's the game. Or, if I want to keep going up to 20 uses, I can too. But that is going to be my new color story. For next month, I think I should be able to have out the black, hopefully. That's going to be my main goal. And then maybe having out Sam as well. I should be able to hopefully pound that one in just 1 month's time. But with the rest, I'm not sure. I think they might stay in for a bit longer, but hopefully I can have 2 rollouts next month. But that, you guys, is it for my Pan Those Eyeshadows update. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And yeah, otherwise I will just catch you in my next one. Bye guys.